Exploring the deep web had become my escape from boredom, a thrill I thought I could handle with my experience. One late night, with friends reluctantly watching, I suggested we dive in. They were uneasy, wary of horror stories about hackers and illegal activity, but I assured them I knew what I was doing. After browsing shady forums, I stumbled upon a mysterious site rumored to offer an intriguing game. Ignoring their nervous glances, I clicked the link. As soon as I clicked the link, a file began downloading, sparking panic among my friends. Though my antivirus showed it was clean, my screen suddenly went black, and the internet in the house went down. My friends, uneasy and blaming the site, quickly decided to leave. Alone in the silence, I stared at my blank screen, haunted by the thought that one click could disrupt everything. I wanted to believe it was a glitch, but deep down, I knew better. My friends, spooked, left for another friend's house, urging me to come, but I stayed behind. Alone, I tried to distract myself with the TV, but it only showed static. My phone had no signal, and soon, the lights flickered and went out, plunging me into darkness. With nothing left to do, I reluctantly headed to bed, hoping for normalcy by morning. I went up to my room, got into bed, and closed my eyes, but sleep wouldn't come easily. In the middle of the night, a faint but constant noise woke me up. It sounded like something moving slowly through the house. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but the sound grew louder and more distinct. It was unmistakably the sound of footsteps. I froze, holding my breath, afraid to move or even acknowledge what was happening. The noises persisted, deliberate and unrelenting. Finally, summoning every ounce of courage, I got out of bed. I realized my phone was downstairs, but it was useless without a signal, so escape seemed like my only option. I opened the door to my room carefully, trying not to make a sound. The house was eerily silent, except for the footsteps. Slowly, I made my way down the hallway, my heart pounding with every step. A part of me hoped it was just a burglar or a prank, but another part of me feared it was something far worse. That's when I decided it wasn't worth finding out. The risk was too great. I turned back, ran to my room, opened the window, and climbed out into the yard. I didn't know where to go, I just needed to get away from the house. I got into my car, started the engine, and drove off as fast as I could. The streets were empty, and flickering streetlights cast eerie shadows, but I didn't care. I just wanted to distance myself from whatever or whoever was in my house. Finally, my phone regained its signal. I called the police and explained the situation, but their response felt dismissive. They said they would send a patrol car, but it seemed like they didn't take me seriously. As I was talking, my phone screen went blank again, displaying that same unsettling white static I'd seen on my computer and TV. Trying to ignore the phone, I focused on the road ahead. Suddenly, my car's engine began to sputter. It jerked violently before coming to a screeching halt. "What the hell is going on?" I muttered, dread washing over me. I looked around and realized I had unknowingly driven into a dangerous part of town. Frantically, I tried to restart the car, but it wouldn't budge. My frustration boiled over and I hit the steering wheel in anger. That's when I saw it in the rearview mirror. A dark figure standing motionless in the shadows. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, but more figures emerged. They were all dressed in black, wearing sinister clown masks. Slowly, they began to approach the car, their movements deliberate and chilling. When they reached the car, they started knocking. The masked men tapped on my window, their presence chilling. My breathing quickened as one shattered the glass with a metal spike. Frozen with fear, I acted instinctively, grabbing the spike and stabbing one in the shoulder. As he recoiled, I bolted out the other door and ran into the nearby forest. Dawn's light began to break, but their relentless pursuit didn't stop. I was too exhausted. I hid behind some bushes for a while, thinking I had finally lost them, My breathing was heavy, and my heart pounded in my chest, but I felt a flicker of relief. That relief was short-lived. The sound of footsteps returned, louder and closer, heading straight toward me. Panic surged as I realized they had found me again. Without thinking, I bolted from the bushes, running toward an apartment complex I had noticed in the distance. I sprinted through the streets, my legs burning, my lungs gasping for air, and somehow ended up crossing a small forest. My path was erratic, weaving through unfamiliar streets, but eventually I felt like I had finally shaken them off. Exhausted, I stopped in a dimly lit alley to catch my breath. My legs felt like jelly, and my heart was beating so fast it felt like it might leap out of my chest. As I bent over, clutching my knees, I was blindsided. A powerful hand grabbed me from behind, yanking me to the ground. Before I could react, another hand wrapped tightly around my neck, choking me. My vision blurred and panic set in. I glanced up and saw one of the masked men looming over me, his cold eyes locked on mine. Surrounding him were more figures in clown masks, their eerie silence amplifying my fear. One of them moved closer, holding something sharp. The blade gleamed faintly in the dim light before it was plunged into my hand. Pain shot through me, hot and searing, as I screamed. Another figure crouched down and began doing something bizarre. He was sticking objects into the ground, moving with an unsettling focus. Was this some kind of ritual? Were they fanatics? My thoughts spiraled into despair as I braced myself for the worst. I closed my eyes, fully expecting to die right there in that alley. Then, something unexpected happened. A strange buzzing sound came from my pocket. Confused, I opened my eyes to see the masked men frozen in place, their attention drawn to the source of the noise. My phone, which had been dead for hours, was now glowing with an intense green light. The white screen from earlier had changed, and whatever was happening seemed to have unnerved them. They exchanged glances, then silently began backing away. One by one, they dropped their weapons, turned, and walked away as if nothing had happened. I lay there on the cold ground, my chest heaving, my hand throbbing with pain from the stab wound. The surreal nature of it all left me stunned. With shaking hands, I retrieved my phone, its green light now dimming. Gathering my strength, I stumbled back to my car, half expecting it not to start. To my astonishment, the engine roared to life without issue, as if nothing had happened. I drove home, my hands trembling on the wheel, desperate to leave the madness behind and get to a hospital to tend to my wounds. When I arrived home, I collapsed into my chair, unable to process the night's events. Seeking some semblance of normalcy, I turned on my computer. To my surprise, my email was already open. There was a new message from an unknown sender, the subject line reading, "Congratulations, you've won. You will soon receive your reward." Hesitantly, I opened it. The email contained an image, a photo of me. It was taken during my frantic escape, perfectly capturing the terror on my face. But I wasn't alone. The email included dozens of other photos, each showing different people, all terrified. Some were crying, others screaming. Beneath the photos of winners was another section labeled "Losers." These images were far worse. They depicted mangled bodies, faces twisted in agony, and scenes so gruesome that I could hardly stomach looking at them. At the bottom of the email was a final message: "You survived 8 hours since you entered the game. Do you want to try to survive 10? Reply to this email, and we'll start over." I stared at the screen, my thoughts spiraling into chaos. None of it made sense. Who were these people, and what kind of twisted game had I been dragged into? Why had I been chosen? My hand hovered over the mouse, torn between deleting the email and ignoring the whole nightmare or replying to demand answers. Panic clawed at my chest, and I finally decided I wanted no part of it. With trembling hands, I deleted the email, turned off the computer, and resolved never to entertain this madness again. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Who were these people, and what had I stumbled into? Panicked, I deleted the email, shut down my computer, and vowed to never return to that digital nightmare. After a quick shower to calm my nerves, the doorbell rang. Hesitant, I opened it to find a black envelope. Inside was $5,000 in cash and a chilling note: "Congratulations, winner." Moments later, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Shall we play again? Press yes or no." The temptation lingered for a second, but the horrors of the night made my decision clear. I pressed no. My phone rebooted instantly, erasing the message as if it had never existed. Shaken, I wiped my computer clean and promised myself to stay away from the deep web. Yet, a gnawing fear remains. I'm not sure this is truly over. And the moral of the story is, curiosity without caution can lead to peril. Some doors are best left unopened.